Okay, hello everyone, and thank you so much for watching. My name is Kat Nichols, and I'm a senior writer here at Life Coach Directory in Happyful, and here today talking to accredited life coach Katie Bull. And we're going to be talking about all things wellness coaching and really getting to grips with what it is and how it can support you. So I'd really love it if Katie, we could start off by you introducing yourself, telling us a bit more about your journey to coaching and how you help people now.
Hello, very nice to be here. Thank you very much for having me. So as Kat said, my name is Katie and I am a holistic and transformational life coach. So I'll first of all talk a little bit about my journey into coaching. I struggled with mental health about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It started to get really challenging, and I went to the doctors and I've kind of like, oh, I'm really struggling with mental health. What can I do? And their immediate response was to put me on antidepressants. And I was thinking, oh, I know this is right for so many people, but it doesn't feel right for me. So I wonder what else is out there. So I really started to delve into how I could really start to help my own well-being through holistic wellness. And I started to start meditating. I was just really kind of moving my body. I was doing really simple things, really looking after myself. I got really into crystals and kind of aligning my chakras. I started using aromatherapy, all of these really lovely, simple things. And my transformation was huge. And it was just so dramatic. It was amazing. And I also have a background in design. And I wanted to then bring these two worlds together. So I wondered how I could kind of bring wellness and design together. And that kind of started Cloven Clay for me. And then I went to an Animas Day, which is where I did my training. And I just fell absolutely in love with it. I was surrounded by all these people. I was like, oh, this is the thing for me. I want to be able to help people ultimately. And this is kind of the way forward for me. And I just absolutely love coaching. I love that it's client led, and because everyone has the answers themselves. I don't know what's best for you. You know what's best for you. And so it just worked really well with kind of my philosophy and how I wanted to help people. And that's how I got into it.
I love that. And I think a lot of coaches have probably experienced a similar journey where you've gone through something yourself and you've experienced a change. And now you want to like pass that on to some other people. So I love that
Definitely.
sharing. And you mentioned there that you're a holistic kind of wellness coach. I'd love to hear a little bit more about this idea of what it means to be a holistic wellness coach.
Mhm. So really, when we're thinking about holistic wellness, I think there's kind of like there's different meanings to it, really, I guess. But how I'm really seeing it is really thinking about, well, yes, let's start with kind of holistic wellness and what this really is. It's really thinking about the mind, the body, and the soul. And it's thinking about, so Ayurveda teaches us that whatever happens in the physical body is represented in the mind and also in the spirit, and vice versa. So what happens in the mind is represented in the body and also in the spirit. And that's kind of, we can always see this playing out in life. Let's kind of think of an example of let's just think of an example of somebody who has got a bit of a stomach ache, and they're kind of they're not, the immediate response might be, oh, what have I eaten? But actually, are you feeling very stressed? Are you feeling very anxious? How is that playing out in the body? So really thinking, that's kind of the kind of overall gist of holistic wellness, and thinking about how we can treat each of these different things because they are all interconnected and linked. And also really when we're thinking of it in terms of a coaching kind of perspective, really tackling challenges therefore in a holistic sense. So let's think about productivity, for example. Somebody who's sitting there going, they're coming to me and saying, oh, I've got no motivation, I'm not feeling productive at all. Their immediate response might be, okay, so I'm going to make a list, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to really try and get that focus. When we're really thinking about it in a holistic sense, actually what's going on here, let's break this down a little bit, let's untangle it. And really what might be going on there is actually you've got a lot of limiting beliefs going on. Actually, you've got a lot of fear of failure going on. So it's really thinking about things in their entirety. So I think that covers that, I think. Yeah.
Definitely, and I can really relate to that. I struggle with anxiety myself, and when it first came up for me, it manifested physically. So I would have different physical symptoms, and I didn't even necessarily twig that it was anxiety to begin with, because I wasn't having the typical kind of racing thoughts and all of that. And then when I got support for it, kind of treating the whole body, realizing how what you think and what you feel affects you physically. And yeah, I just find that connection so fascinating. So
So
I can see how that all
fascinating.
works.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a couple of examples there, but I'd love to hear a bit more about what kind of challenges clients might come to you for wellness coaching. What kind of challenges might they be looking to overcome?
That's a really good question. And I think ultimately there are many different challenges you can come to for wellness coaching. But I think really when we're thinking about this, is you're kind of somebody who's a little bit lost. Maybe this is a process of kind of massive introspection, isn't it? It's a process of really reconnecting and turning inward. And I think somebody who was looking for wellness coaching it's quite a soft approach, is kind of how I see it, but there's power in this softness, and we're definitely in kind of a masculine dominated world, and we're seeing kind of women are kind of don't really want to be put in this box anymore. They're fleeing from the path. And there's a quote by Sahara Rose, which is, once you realize you're a jaguar, it's very hard to stay in the cage. And I think that there's definitely this idea of women realizing that actually maybe they don't want to go along with this structure anymore. They don't want to be going along with this kind of logic, and they're really wanting to reclaim their feminine power and really get back in touch with their intuition, reconnect, and really feel aligned. And this is where I think wellness coaching can be so magical, because it really is about this reconnecting with yourself and really slowing it down, really doing that meditating, that journaling, going for holistic kind of therapies, maybe trying out some aromatherapy, some massage, maybe some acupuncture, all of these processes, which are just so, so helpful.
I love that. I love the idea of having different practices included in that. So it's not just the coaching, you're also kind of looking at other ways of looking at things. And yeah, I'd love to hear a bit more about the kind of practicalities of kind of coming for coaching sessions. So for somebody who's never experienced coaching before, doesn't know what it entails, can you kind of describe how the process would typically go?
Of course. So first of all, lots of coaches out there, and myself include, well, I have a holistic transformation call, which is free for everybody if you're new to it, because it's really important that you find the right person for you. And you're going to be investing in yourself, and it needs to be right. So I always offer a 40-minute free call. So we'd start with that, which is a really good opportunity for you to see if first, if I'm going to be right for you, but also for me to hear about any challenges that you've got. Let's really start to untangle. Let's unpick what's going on, and let's talk about how we're going to be able to move forward with these. So that would be the first thing. And if we then decide this is going to be the right approach, then I would also talk through a little bit about my offerings that I've got. I've got a 3-month coaching offering and a 1-month coaching offering. And so you might choose one of these, and then we'll move forward. And then how the sessions generally go is the client will always come to the table with a challenge. That's why I love it. Like I said at the beginning, you'll come with your challenge. And then we'll spend some time unpicking it, untangling it, looking into those ingrained belief systems, really looking at your values, looking what's important to you, really looking into your narrative and how you see the world. And I'm here to kind of challenge and question, but also hold you and support you. And so that will be the main bulk of the session. And then as we move towards the end of the session, I'll do a little summary for you, and we can kind of just tie everything up nicely for that hour that we've had together, and then leave the session with a really nice affirmation. And then we'll kind of go through the process, and then I'll send you a worksheet in between sessions so that you can so we can kind of reflect and set intentions, all of that kind of stuff. And then we'll move through on to the next session. And throughout the process, it's just incredible what happens, and the transformation and the reconnecting, and like slowly as you start to be guided by your intuition and really start to trust yourself and ultimately feel really confident.
Absolutely. And I think going into this kind of topic of wellness is such a big, broad topic. It can be almost intimidating to try and navigate it yourself, which is why I love this idea of wellness coaching, because it's having someone to guide you on the way and helping you through all of that. And yeah, I just really, really love the sound of that. And I know that a lot of your work has a kind of spiritual edge to it as well. So I'd love to hear a bit more about this, about how spirituality can play into wellness coaching.
So I think spirituality is just huge, and thinking about it, really spirituality is a way to heal. It's a way to connect. It's a healing, and it's a connection, and it's a process, and it's trusting, and it's leaning in. And so when I'm thinking about spirituality, it means different things to lots of different people. But in terms of me and the approach that I have and the way that I work, it's energy, it's yin and yang, it's bringing back this marriage between yin and yang. It's bringing back this kind of reconnecting with the feminine. Like I said, we're in this masculine dominated world, and for women it's so important that we kind of we do tune back in with ourselves, and also we're creative. This is all about spirituality. It's creative, it's laughing. When was the last time that you laughed? That might be one of your things, your kind of things that you go and do for that week when we're working together. You might just go and have absolute laugh, just go and play, go and be creative. Really important for kind of getting back in touch with that feminine energy. It's about connecting with nature, which is again huge. It's so important. It's one of those simple and obvious ones, but yeah, it's so beneficial, so healing. It's thinking about chakras, it's thinking about meditating, it's thinking about, like I said, I'm here to support and guide you as you may be what during our kind of time together also go and try out some other holistic therapies and things like that. And then yeah, so I think it's such a broad one, spirituality, but I think ultimately, yeah, it's this idea of connecting and healing. I think that's the power of it.
I love that. And I think when some people hear the word spirituality, they might immediately think religion. And I think it's important to highlight that that isn't the case necessarily. It might be, if that's the way you want to go, that's great. But it doesn't have to be that. And I think you're right when you say it's to do with connection. It's connecting with something outside of yourself and within yourself, I would say. So yeah, it's fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I would love to know any tips that you have for anyone who might be watching, who's kind of listening to this, feeling inspired and wants to take maybe some small steps to improve their overall wellness. How can they get started?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. And I think ultimately it's the simplest things sometimes. And I think it's the simplest things that can be the most helpful sometimes. I think really, and these sound really obvious, but really checking in and making sure you're actually doing them. So how much water are you having a day? How are you hydrating your body? Thinking about the food that you're eating. Are you eating really healthy, nutritious food? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you moving your body? Are you connecting with nature? Like I said, are you connecting with yourself? Are you journaling? Are you meditating? Are you having that time to just realign and connect with your center? Yeah, I do think it is those kind of key things. Yeah, I think yeah, just simple, basic kind of self-care. I think are really good steps into wellness and really just reconnecting.
Yeah, and self-care has become so important, I think, especially we're recording this as we're coming out of the third lockdown of the pandemic of 2020, 2021. And a lot of us have had to go back to basics when it comes to the self-care. And I think what you say about checking in with yourself, it's something I always talk about myself as well, is to make sure you're giving yourself that space to ask yourself how you're doing, and just as simple as, what do I need today?
Exactly.
Do I need to drink more water? Do I need to have a nice cup of tea? Anything like that that's going to make your day a bit better and help you feel a bit better. So yeah, thank you. Hopefully that will inspire some people watching. So finally, if you could just let everyone know where they could find out more about you and the work that you do.
So brilliant. So my company that I have is called Cloven Clay, and you can just find it at clovenclay.co.uk, or my Instagram is Cloven Clay. So that is very simple. Just
Oh,
think Cloven Clay and that's it.
perfect. Thank you so much. And also we'll pop a link to your Life Coach Directory profile as well, so people can read more about you and see if they want to get in touch. And if anyone has been inspired by this and wants to learn more about wellness coaching in general and search for any other wellness coach as well, we have plenty on Life Coach Directory, and you can head to lifecoach-directory.org.uk to find out more. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you so much.